Good morning, everyone. 18 minutes after the hour. Welcome back to the Sunrise Show. Craig Fronikin, and on the phone with me, Dr. Mark Christian from the Global Faith Institute. And it's always a fascinating story from Dr. Mark, who's a very desired speaker and travels all over the country. In fact, just got back from Seattle. We'll hear about his visit out there and globalfaithinstitute.org. He's a OBGYN doctor and an MD by trade, but is spreading the message as a born-again Christian that Islam is not so healthy. And but interesting. Mark, good morning, sir, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, and yes, it was my very first visit to the area. I tell you what, I was very lucky with the weather. It was amazing weather while I was over there this weekend, and also get to know the people. It's amazing.
Very good. Well, I raised the question because just this last week, Muhammad Ali passed away there in Scottsdale, Arizona, and he had been a converted Muslim for many, many years, changed his name and converted and had been living a life of peace. And so here you have the dichotomy of these Muslim extremists throughout the world killing innocent people, both Muslim and non. And then you've got Muhammad Ali, who's spreading the world, the message of peace and love. And he'll be honored this coming Friday in Louisville, Kentucky. But what's the difference there, Mark? And maybe help out our listeners as far as why that is, because we talk about Muslims and their extremist views and what happens and why they pick up arms and kill, quote-unquote, infidels. And then all of a sudden you've got this other, otherwise known as the greatest, the Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali is a unique person. He's a champion. He is a legend. And I grew up, knowing Muhammad Ali when I was a Muslim back in Egypt. But I want to, respond to one of the things that you said. He was very peaceful. I can tell you that he was very peaceful indeed. But when you are in the boxing match with him, there was no peace there.
No, you're right about that. Yeah.
Yeah, he threw the punches very, very well. Growing up, especially in 1980, the ultimate fight that he had to reclaim his championship again in 1980, and he lost that fight. I remember walking up 3 o'clock in the morning, and all of us gathering around the TV to watch that, and the TV is forbidden according to Islam to watch stuff on it. So it was only few things that you can watch as a Muslim. And this is one of the things. And every Muslim was looking at Muhammad Ali's victory is a victory for Islam, not just for boxing match. It was way beyond a boxing match.
Oh,
if you look at Muhammad Ali as a legend, I look at him in a different perspective when I was a Muslim, and now I'm a Christian in America. Every Muslim look at Muhammad Ali as a victorious man that championed their own religion before he championed boxing. And when I moved to America and I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior, I started looking at the man differently. The idea that he married multiple wives and divorced over time and practiced polygamy secretly at one point and have multiple kids and all that kind of stuff. Nobody in Islam look at this as something bad whatsoever. But when you become a follower of Christ and you look at that stuff and you see this is not a very good role model to Americans and to Christians and to the youth in general. And also him converting to Islam was very instrumental and crucial into the legitimacy of the Nation of Islam and its movement. And it is a very divisive movement and separatist movement in each nation. And Muhammad Ali was very crucial, for the converting of many Christian African-American kids and athletes into Islam and giving legitimacy to that movement and so forth. So he was victorious in his own terms for Islam. He did do the good deeds for Islam that, this is why he's praised. And this is why he was instrumental in, pleading with Iran to release some of the hostages over there. Why? Because he can have that leverage with Muslims because they look at him as a victorious man for Islam.
So, Mark, we're talking about Muhammad Ali and the fact that he converted to Islam so many years ago, but did not get wrapped up, did not get involved in any type of, extremism. Where is the dividing line there? Because this is the confusing part for Americans when you talk about freedom of religion and when you talk about Islam as a political agenda. 80% political agenda, 20% religion. It seems like Muhammad Ali, formerly Cassius Clay, he stayed on that 20% religion piece.
Here is the problem. Everybody's looking at Islam as a political movement or Islam to be fighting for the cause of Islam. It means that you have to blow yourself up and blow everybody in the way. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
Islam is a supremacist mentality and idea. Muhammad Ali was doing his part for fighting for the cause of Islam on his own terms. When he decided not to go to Vietnam and to say to America in its face that you are wrong and you are bad, and to resurrect the nation of Islam, he's doing this for the nation of Islam. He's doing this for Islam against his own country. And he championed Islam in the face of America and showed that Islam is victorious and superior and supreme, and it has ideas better than the American ideas. And then over the years, he continued being a champion for Islam, and he was always been that kind of a leader that actually give legitimacy and give a good name to Islam. So did Islam succeed by his own actions? Definitely. You see the number of people converted, the people that are looking at Islam as a good thing. You know what? Nobody knows how Nation of Islam would look like without Muhammad Ali, but just give it a thought. Nation of Islam without Muhammad Ali would be like a terrorist movement, or going to be named as the KKK. Why? Because many of the people who started the Nation of Islam either has been assassinated or jailed or ousted, and because they are a separatist movement, it's not a religious movement. And if you look at it and you see how Muhammad Ali gave it legitimacy and things like this, so Muhammad Ali did the great things for Islam that he can do without blowing himself up, without fighting and killing and spilling his own blood. So he did his own jihad by his own terms.
It's really interesting that you put that on his own terms against what anything else is going. That's great. Mark, we've got a break coming up, but I want to talk about Ramadan, because Ramadan off the solar calendar starts today. Am I correct?
Yes, started yesterday, actually.
Yeah, so I'd like to talk about that, about what that means on a worldwide stage and for Islam and Muslims.
I have a couple of people fasting in my own home.
Exactly. So let's do that. Let's handle all that, and we'll come right back. Dr. Mark Christian, the executive director and founder of the Global Faith Institute out of Omaha, Nebraska, globalfaithinstitute.org. A wealth of knowledge and information, and he's also put out an 8-booklet series that you can get online. They're fabulous. They are very easy and understanding, and he asks questions and he poses the answers in very clear form. It's fantastic. All of his booklets there are online, and I urge everyone you can get one or half or all, and they're fantastic. It's all there, globalfaithinstitute.org. All right, let's get to a break and come right back. More on the Sunrise Show on News Radio 880 KCMX after this. Good morning, everyone. 35 minutes after the hour. Welcome back. We're continuing with Dr. Mark Christian from the Global Faith Institute. His website, globalfaithinstitute.org, and a wealth of information. We can take calls as well, 541-772-8255. And Dr. Mark Christian, Ramadan started yesterday based off of the solar calendar. Talk about that with my listeners, please.
According to the moon calendar. So here is, it's a month. Sometimes it's 29 days, sometimes it's 30 days, because the month according to the moon calendar is not fixed. It starts by the start of the moon cycle and ends with, the birth of the new moon. And it moves around the solar calendar that we have. And basically it's 11 days in advance every year. Sometimes the month of Ramadan falls into, summer, sometimes moves to the winter and so forth. And definitely when Ramadan is in the summertime, it is the most hard time for fasting. What fasting, according to Islam, is Number one, it is not a volunteer act. It is an obligation. So every Muslim has to fast from eating and drinking and, marital relationship whatsoever from sunrise to sunset.
Wow.
Some people do that for 12 hours. Sometimes it's extended to 18 hours, depending on the region and the area that they are in. And it is, it is considered the holiest month according to Islam, where Muslims are trying their best to make up for all the rituals that they missed and try to pray a lot, try to pray and try to be closer to God as much as they can. And there is actually more than the 5-time prayers in it. There is extra volunteer prayers that they do and so forth. But we also need to learn about how Muslims deal with this. Number one, it is also some kind of a very, good time for family to get together, Muslim family get together, come out for dinner together, come out for, which is dinner usually is after the sunset and so forth. But here's a couple of punishments that I need to, highlight. It's an obligation on every Muslim, even somebody who is sick, diabetic, hypertensive, and stuff like that. They still try their best to be fasting because the punishment for not fasting is very, very, very harsh. And I did this calculation, and I speak about it, quite often. If you look at somebody who does not fast during the month of Ramadan deliberately and just rejected the idea that he's going to fast that day, the punishment for that he has to repeat that day as soon as possible, and then fast 60 days for repentance.
Wow.
So if you look at a Muslim who decides that, I'm not going to fast Ramadan altogether, I'm just going to be a Muslim by name only and so forth, as a young man or whatever, and then later on go to the mosque and, and he find out, you missed Ramadan for a full year this year or a couple of years. For each month that Muslims miss fasting altogether, they have to fast 5 years in return.
Wow.
If you multiply and constantly, continuously, okay? And if they could not do that, which is many people cannot, they figure out that, the Imam tells them, okay, instead of fasting 5 years continuously, you need to get money out, in exchange for not able to fast. So you have to give money around $30 for every day. You multiply that by the number of days by 18,000. You are talking about $50,000. That they have to give out to the people who are to the mosque and to other places and so forth. How many people are able to do that? Very small amount of people who are able to pay 50,000 people actually $50,000 in exchange for or repentance for the month that they missed.
Yeah, so it's
as much as
it's very serious. Yeah, very serious, and like you said, very harsh. Now, with this,
why I'm saying, if you don't mind, I just want to add one thing. Why I'm saying all of this, I don't want to bother your listeners by all of this, by Islamic codes and stuff like that, but I want people to understand what kind of life Muslims have.
Right.
It seems like very nice from outside and so forth, and come together for fasting and come together for whatever. But, if you are in the heart and the mind of a Muslim and he knows that you have a God who is out there to get you right there all the time, and there is no way for repentance, and if you miss one day, if you feel thirsty and you're asking, maybe I can just have a sip of water, or maybe I'm very sick, I just want to do something, and you feel like, God is going to out there get you, and he's keeping record, and the only way to be, forgiven is to pay his enormous amount of money. So this is why I'm trying to say the deal of, looking at Muslims and the struggle that they go every day is going to make you feel understandable, at least, what kind of mindset Muslims are in.
Right. No, that's a very good point. Now, can Muslims, can they sleep during the day from sunrise to sunset and then have their lives, their family and eating and those type of things in the...
You are thinking like a Muslim right now, exactly. You are trying to find out a way to get out of this, so you're exactly true, Human beings are human beings, and this is what they try to do. In Saudi Arabia, for example, they try to let people not to work, so the working hours get to the minimum. They announced this year, because it's going to be a very hot, Ramadan, so they minimize the number of working hours to 4 hours a day instead of a full day. And lots of people take their time out and time off during the month of Ramadan, and they sleep as much as they can so they can eat and load before, the sunrise, and sleep as much as they can during the day, and try to wake up by the time they can eat again and so forth. But unfortunately, they have to wake up for the 5-time prayers, and there is 3 of them fallen during the day.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, it was just interesting.
You're thinking like a Muslim, Greg. I'm so proud of you.
Exactly right. Well, thank you so much. Well, it's just wonder because, like you said, the how they live under this, and we talk about so many times that Muslims are the first victims for some of the Islamic extremists and what they do, but it's very difficult, and it was interesting once again to hear all of that. Especially with what's going on in the world scene. And then are there any groups that take advantage, like the Muslim Brotherhood? Do they everyone kind of, if they don't live up to this includes all of this, right? I mean, the extremists and Muslim Brotherhood, everyone is equal with this Ramadan. Is that right?
It's an obligation. We are talking about lightly over here and cutting the number of hours and so forth. There is a very harsh punishment to publicly if you're a Muslim and seen drinking or eating during the day. Every Muslim country has a very extreme kind of measures against those who doesn't fast, even publicly. So if you have an extreme excuse, they say that you're going to die if you fast, or somebody who's pregnant, you're not supposed to even drink and eat in public. And this is not according to Muslim Brotherhood or anything. It's according to every Muslim country.
Right. God, that's just amazing that this pressure.
Greg, this is why I'm talking about this. It's like really many Christians and many people in America look at things and say, try to compare it with their own religion. And when they are not even practicing their own religion, they think Muslims are in the same category. And try to understand that Islam is a completely different set of rules.
Oh, I know.
And this is the kind of preaching that every Muslim is obligated to, Muslim mosque that has to preach about. It is not about forgiveness and love. There is no such a thing in Islam whatsoever. It's all work-based. It is all about what you are supposed to do and not supposed to do. And they are actually even avoiding talking about the stuff that's going on nowadays in the media and stuff like that. All that they're focused on and how everyone can succeed. You have a God who is very harsh and very judgmental. Everyone is trying to do whatever he can to please that God. And everybody's minding his own business and thinking about himself and doesn't worry about what others are doing and what's going on in their mind and so forth. And the government's job is to protect itself as well and try to push harsh rules on people so they can, function in a proper way. You are under a dictatorship of a God that is out there to get you. This is the mindset. Everybody's trying to do their deeds so they can please that God.
It's really amazing, Mark. And of course, what's great with you, you've become a born again Christian. You've come to America. You've brought your family, and but yet you still have family members that are practicing Muslims, and then others, because we talk about this too, that for any Muslim to leave the Muslim faith is an absolute 100% death wish. I mean, it's a death threat, I should say.
I have people fasting in my home, and I have my breakfast, and I have my eggs in the morning, and then they look at me and says, we have discussions about religion all the time, and she look at me and says, I am very sorry for you, how much time you're going to be in hell. And this is my morning breakfast when I'm having breakfast. I'm going to be in hell.
Well, but like you said, love and compassion and those type of things, and everyone has to make their own peace. So
the Muslim people in my home telling me that I'm going to be in hell, not because they are, threatening me. They just feeling sorry for me.
Right.
They think that I, believing in Jesus and the freedom and the love, and you don't have to fast and all that other stuff, that I'm messed up in my mind, and, I'm going to go to hell, and I'm going to spend so much in hell. So they are feeling sorry for me. They are looking at that and like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for you."
Yeah, exactly. You poor, poor man. But I know. But
Yeah.
no, we all know a little different. Very good. Well, Mark,
Amen.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. I know you're so busy. And ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Mark Christian with the Global Faith Institute. I strongly encourage folks to check out the website, globalfaithinstitute.org. It's also on Facebook. But the best thing with the Global Faith Institute and the website is all the information that's going on. You can really see what's really going on. And Mark also writes for WND, and that gets published, and many articles gets published, and he's on many broadcasts throughout the nation, and we're just thrilled to have you on from time to time. So, Mark, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, have a good day, sir. All right, let's get to a break and come back. More on the Sunrise Show. Wow, that's just fascinating stuff. Only from the standpoint of the pressures of religion sometimes around the world, trying to understand. All right, let's get to a break and come right back. More in the Sunrise Show. We'll take your calls, 541-772-8255. So much going on as the Democrat primaries are taking over these United States. Today, we'll see if Hillary Clinton really does have all the delegates. And we'll be talking about this derailment up in Oregon, up in Moyer as well.